It is my pleasure to have you join us on a fresh edition of a financial news magazine program, Business Trends, here on Galaxy Television. I am Tolu Ajayi. Today on the show, our focus is the printing and publishing industry. It is believed that the print industry can create not less than 3 million jobs annually if properly encouraged. What are the challenges that the publishing industry is facing apart from piracy, which is common? The reality is that Nigerian publishers who wish to sell good quality books at reasonable prices are forced to print overseas. I sat down with an operator, Dr. Mrs. Adeshola Falaye, Deputy Managing Director, AFCA Printing and Publishing Company Limited, to discuss issues, challenges, and prospects of the publishing and printing industry in this exclusive interview. Enjoy it. Deputy Managing Director, AFCA Printing and Publishing Limited, Dr. Mrs. Adeshola Falaye, thank you very much for sharing your time with us on Business Trends today.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Let me start by asking you, how in your view did the printing industry fare in the outgone year 2017?
In 2016, just like every other sector in the Nigerian economy, we had imbalance in the economy. We had fluctuation in the foreign exchange, and that really affected businesses all over. Printing businesses in particular, because printing is heavily dependent on importation, and so we rely on foreign exchange for most of our purchases, and the instability really affected us. You couldn't project. You had to base your quotation on maybe a daily or 2 days market prediction. You couldn't plan, and so we were really affected. And customers, though they knew what was happening, were not really cooperating, because you don't want to pay more for what budgets were made at the beginning of the year. So no company would, or most companies were not really going to shift that much to match printing requirements. So we had that, it was a bit difficult, and a lot of printing companies made loss. In 2017, there was a bit more stability. It wasn't that stable, but it was better than 2016. And coming into the new year, it seems we are experiencing a little more stability in terms of the foreign exchange, and we hope we will be able in the nearest future, in the next few weeks, few months, to say for the next 3 months, this is what the market is going to be, and that's what we look forward to. But we didn't have it funny in the last few years.
Now, you know, despite the viability of the printing subsector, there are still notable problems such as high cost of production, cost of doing business generally, low profit margin, and of course, low cost of print jobs. Nigerian printers are also disadvantaged by all of this. You know, what do you think is the best way out of all of this?
Okay, you cannot isolate AFCA from the problems the printing industry is facing. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, that printing in Nigeria is heavily dependent on importation. About 95% of what we use, we import, from the paper to the other chemicals to other raw materials. What we have readily available, I can say, is maybe the human power. So because of this, we don't have control over what happens in the industry. We are being controlled by outside forces. And so we import papers, for example, from the Asian countries. They have that edge over us because they control what we buy and what we sell. And we've not really fared well because of that. Now, narrow it to AFCA. AFCA is an international company. Whatever quality you can get anywhere in the world, you can get in AFCA. In fact, better quality. And we operate in an industry where everybody wants to pay the same amount, or everybody wants a very good quality for the same price you can get in every other company. Let me tell you that printing industry in Nigeria is quite vast. We have a lot of printing houses in Nigeria. At a low scale, at medium scale, only few companies operate at high scale, like AFCA. In AFCA, it's a one-stop shop. You have your printing section, you have your finishing section, you have your light packaging section. You have everything in one. So you don't have to print and take it elsewhere. Only few companies can give that kind of service in printing industry in Nigeria. Now, for people like us that have such large-scale industry, we're competing with people that have smaller equipment. It's not so easy. But one thing we're sure of is our quality. And our clients that would usually take their printing abroad, they are recognizing that, okay, they have a place in AFCA and maybe few other places, but I assure you, AFCA is the best place to be when you think of abroad, when you think of international. AFCA would offer you that. Now, what is the low point of this is that you want to pay the same thing you pay next door. And I keep telling people that quality comes at a cost, but that not being a disadvantage factor, if I can use that. We have been able to work with our clients, to work with their budgets, to partner with them, to achieve what they want to achieve at the cost they can afford. So AFCA goes beyond just printing. We actually consult, we partner with so we've been able to say forge ahead in the difficult situation we found ourselves in printing industry in Nigeria by applying other expertise that we could offer apart from printing.
Now, what is your view about made in Nigeria printing products? Do you think, of course, they're on the same level with printing jobs done outside the shores of Nigeria?
Printing industry in Nigeria provides a large bulk of employment, for example, because according to some statistics, which have not verified the fact, I learned that Nigeria has the highest of companies in the printing industry. That is, the printing industry in Nigeria is more than most other countries. If this is the case, then that means Nigeria printing industry is providing a large scale, is providing a lot in terms of the economy, in terms of workforce, in terms of generating capital. And so it is an industry that should be given attention by the government and by large business conglomerates, because printing industry is one industry that accommodates high level, medium level, and low level workforce. It's in the printing industry you find a professor running a printing company, a PhD holder, people that are not educated at all, and people that are minimally educated. So it's an industry that brings together different sets of people. This is where one of the industries that the government needs to pay attention to boost the economy of this country. And how can they do it? I will use Asia, India as an example. In India, the government actually subsidizes their printing industry, their printing equipment. In some cases, they set up the companies for people to work, to run, and they help the companies raise funds, and that's why they are able to produce at large quantity and import to places like Nigeria for cheaper price than you get it in Nigeria. It's not because they are not or we are not doing what they are not doing. The only difference is that the government is helping them, number one, with raw materials, with setting up the companies. Their infrastructures are more stable than Nigerian infrastructure. For example, you know what it takes to run diesel, to run alternative power in Nigeria. They don't have that problem. So it's a matter of, are we competing on the same level? No. In fact, even you see that the Asian companies in Nigeria, they even still get their raw materials cheaper than us, because what we pay on duties, for example, are enormous than what, than for example, when you bring papers to the country, you pay a lot of duties on them. I think about last year or the year before, they reduced the duties paid on paper supply to Nigeria. But despite that, we still pay a lot. And this is in comparison to when you take your job to India, for example. They roll it out for you, they bring the books back. You don't pay any duty on it. So the publishing houses, for example, they find it easier to print their books abroad and ship it to Nigeria than print it in Nigeria. So it's not a matter of whether the quality of Nigeria is inferior. It is a matter of their business people, what would pay them more. They only realized their error or their folly when the foreign exchange, like I said, went up, and they couldn't get foreign exchange to come to produce from there. Some of their goods and bring them in. That was when they looked inward more to say, okay, companies like ours are here. Let us see what we can do together. That is not to say they are not printing with us. I can assure you that we print for almost all the publishing houses in Nigeria. But what percentage? What percentage do they print here? What percentage do they take abroad? If we can have the same advantage that those people abroad have, you know, in terms of government subsidizing the industry, in terms of infrastructures being on ground to run this business, in terms of having access to major amenities to run a company, then the industry, the printing industry in Nigeria will fare better. Because I want to assure you, and I say this with all sense of responsibility, that we've got the expertise to run big, massive projects in Nigeria. I don't want to mention names, but when you take a roll call of people in the printing business, they are not people to joke with. They are people that have the expertise, experience to run a printing company. But we may not be able to compete. We may not be able to do well if some things are not in place. And those are the things, and those are some of the things I've mentioned.
Now, you'll agree with me that a lot of companies have left Nigeria for places like South Africa, Ghana, because of, you know, especially power sector issues. Because of power, nobody wants to operate in a society where you'll be running at a loss almost on, you know, a yearly basis. What has your organization done differently to still remain afloat?
When it comes to power being a major drive of the economy, I would say that no one company can actually drive can drive the crusade, if I may call it, to make things better, because it's a social amenity, it's a communal responsibility, if I could say that. So most people still go back depending on the general infrastructure provided by the government. And you know, in Nigeria, it's the power is structured in such a way that you don't have the power to generate, to transmit, and to distribute in one person. So my company may not be able to say, this is what we are doing. So that means we are taking the job of the government, which we are not even empowered to do. But what we have done to reduce costs in this regard is that we have partnered with experts in such a way that we have reduced wastage when it comes to power usage. Our machines here are computer, they're like computers. You cannot afford for power to go off. So we have, and of course I'm sure a lot of companies in the printing industry are adopting the same measure. We have alternative power sources that help us to manage in fact, I have to tell you that no printing company can run on electricity alone. We only run on electricity when we don't have jobs going on the machine. And that is rare. Jobs are perpetually running on the machine. And that means we're using diesel. And you know what diesel costs in this. So what we have managed to do here is to minimize wastage, so that where we don't have to incur extra cost on power, we will not. But it is not something a company can do. We still go back to the government that regulates the power sector to do something about it.
Now, with the progressive decline of the Nigerian economy, well, thank God that we've come out of recession, but the industry has not only shrunken. I mean, the printing industry subsector has not only shrunken, the operational capacity of many printing outlets have also diminished. How have you coped with this situation?
Okay. Here we're blessed with almost everything. You can't have it all, especially operating in a country like Nigeria. But our number one blessing, our number one, what we have is our manpower. We have a very cooperating workforce, very cooperating staff. And one of the reasons this has come to be is because welfare of staff is paramount. When my MD first resumed, he made it known that he was and is still interested in the welfare of staff. So we have the cooperation, we have the trust of our staff, at least 90% of the time. And when you have the loyalty of your staff, they are able, in fact, sometimes they come forward, most of the time they come forward to profile solution. They tell us what is happening in the industry that we could leverage on to make our operation better. So we've got just not the machineries, because you could have the best of machineries, but if you don't have experts, if you don't have professionals running them, you will run into trouble. And this is an industry that you're as good as your last job. It's a company that is on its feet on a daily basis. If I'm printing for you, I can't afford to say because I've printed for you for 10 years, I make an error. Error is not allowed in the printing industry, because what you dish out would go may go to the ends of the world, and you will not be there to defend it. So you have to make sure. I say we are like the bank that says one customer. So our customers, they are like coming, like even if we have them, even if they make order every week, it's like they are coming for the first time. Our quality should be as good as the first time we were trying to prospect them, or the first time we work for them. So we don't joke with the brains that we have here that are doing this for us. And we try to do in-house training from time to time. We adopt the best world standard, we research from time to time. One thing we're good at here is that we research to what is happening in the next 5 years. We're not really taken by surprise in that sense. What we can have control over, we try to forward plan on them. Our theme every year is forward plan. So we would have prepared at least majorly for some things that may arise. By the time they arise, we're solving the problem. So I guess we are at the top of our game. We try to be at the top of our game.
Interesting to know. Now, how are you leveraging on advancement in printing technology?
Yes, life keeps evolving anyway, and one thing that is constant in life is change. And a company that wants to be around for a long time has to evolve with the times. I just said now that we forward plan. We're constantly making research. My MD keeps on telling us about what is likely to be, encouraging us to look into it, to research into it. So an average person here is a researcher. Our senior management, we are researchers, because sometimes we take 1 year, 2 years to research on an equipment before we make our mind on them. Let me relate that to evolving technology. We know that digital printing now is coming up. New technologies are coming up to take the place of some of the things we do now. We're not blind to that fact. But I must say before I go on that because of Nigerian peculiarity, screen printing, what we do now is going to be around for a very, very long time. So no need to panic. But that doesn't mean we should sit down and cross our legs. What we do here is we research, we move with the times. We say, is this the right time to, and that's what any business should do. You don't say because people are doing it, people are moving, you move. No, you must be able to ask yourself, is this the right time for me to move in this direction? Have I exhausted my capacity here? Am I, on the same track, on the right track? So what we are doing here is we are researching into modern, bigger technologies, because what we are known for here is our equipment are modern, very, very modern. Some of our equipment are still the only ones in Nigeria. I make bold to say that, and that's the principle on which we base our business culture. And what we do is say, okay, what is next? What is next to be on top of this printing game? And that's what we do. Going digital, for example, the things you could do on papers now, you can do on CDs, on other things. we're researching into that. We're going that. Bear in mind, you may not be able to have all the markets. You can only transform your business to suit your clients, to suit your environment, to suit the times. And sometimes when you are not able to, at the particular time, capture that evolving market, the best thing we have done is we partner with the best in the industry as well. Because the issue is look inward, deal with Nigerians, do it in Nigeria. There are people that have very good standard, very good quality as well. What we do is, for example, you are doing this, we don't do it. Let's see whether your quality would match us. We have clients from South Africa, from US, when they come, they say, can you do this? We tell them, we don't do it in-house, but we have partners that would give you the same quality. And because they trust us, they trust our quality, they trust that we will drive the same quality with our partner. So what we do is we do it and we ship it to them, or we drop it at their distribution center. So this has worked for us. We don't have to really go out of our way and incur large costs in buying machineries when we could give it to people that have the expertise.
It is on record that book publishers still print at less than 90% of their books in Malaysia, Dubai and India and pay almost 100% of the contract value in advance. But when they decide to give the leftovers to Nigerian printers at publishers' price, they pay when they are able after months of delivery. Quite challenging, you'll agree with me. But despite its many challenges, it remains a viable industry capable of generating big employment opportunities. My guest today is Dr. Mrs. Adeshola Falaye, Deputy Managing Director, AFCA Printing and Publishing Company Limited. We've been looking at issues, development and prospects in the printing and publishing sector. Do send your feedbacks to us using our social media platforms right there on your screen. We would love to hear from you. I am Tolu Ajayi. Let's do it again some other time. Bye for now.